Hey mom friends, I'm Lindsay. Welcome to One Praying Mama. If you've been here before, it's great to have you back. Or if you're new, I just talk about some homeschool stuff and raising kids that love God, and I hope to just encourage you a little bit today and maybe help you think about morning time in a way you haven't before, or decide if it's right for you, or maybe share a resource with you that you'd love to have in your morning basket. So before I get started, I want to say you don't have to have a morning basket. That's a huge, big thing on YouTube or Instagram or whatever in the homeschooling space. And it can be very useful. And I feel like we have finally figured out the good use for it for our homeschool. Our morning time is a non-negotiable now at this point, but it used to be a little bit more of a struggle. I was putting things in it that didn't really feel like us, didn't really feel necessary. It felt like a lot of fluff because I was getting some, ideas and stuff from other people, which is always a good thing. Most of these resources that I have are ideas that I've gotten from other people, I've seen online or whatever, or had a friend recommend. But I've kind of figured out how to kind of sift through and choose things that are good for my family in our season that we're in, and things that are really going to be of value to us. And I hope that maybe this can help you do the same. You get to kind of put what you want in there, what brings value to your family. So this is our 5th year homeschooling, and the first year, I looked into a morning basket, and I'm pretty sure we started off with a morning basket. And we also we would go from morning basket to our family subjects, and my kids were 5 years younger then, so we did all of our science, all of our history as complete family subjects. This year my older two are kind of independent for those things because one's in high school, one's in junior high, and they both have various different needs, learning styles, things like that. So they're both on their own for that this year. And it seems to be, maybe that's part of why our morning basket, our morning time seems a little bit smoother, is because we're not tacking on other things after. But I also think that I've learned to choose the resources for our family and not, be influenced or overly influenced to choose things that aren't really right for our family. And like I said, you do not have to have a morning time as a family. You don't have to do that. Your homeschool style or your, combination of different homeschool styles is completely unique to you. And I feel like, it makes for a really good aesthetic as far as people, love sharing their morning time or their morning basket. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. But, it seems very good and very popular. And I'm not saying that it's not good, but I feel like there's some pressure out there to have a morning time. And, you just need to do what is going to be useful to your family. In some seasons, we might end up only reading the Bible, and that be our only morning time. And that be the time that we come together and do that. And, I feel like we are maybe getting a little bit closer to that season, maybe next year. That might be more what our morning time looks like. But we still have some morning time. And I feel like we're in a really good spot for this year. We started the year, and I had kind of an idea for our morning time. And honestly, with the exception of our December morning time, where we just kind of dropped everything and did our Bible and our Advent nativity, we have stuck with this morning time. And I kind of had the intention of starting off with the way it is and then adding to it as the year went on. But this has really been the perfect amount for us, and it's been very easy to stick with because there is so much value in everything that we're doing. And it's not an overwhelming amount of time, but it's also, it does take time. But I feel like we've been able to stick with it because we got just the right amount of stuff in our morning time, just the right amount of things that we do. And I feel like because those are the right things for us, that's why we're able to stick with it. So I'll share more here in a few about what is in our morning time. But I did still want to have that time where we come together as a family and we read our Bible. That's the very first thing we do. And we learn some together. And my kids are in 9th grade, 6th grade, and 4th grade. So, but my 4th grader, like, academically is a little bit lower than 4th grade level, what we're working on. So, like, as far as like history or science, they're so spread out that doesn't work for us anymore to do all of those things together. And it might work for some people, but I found that like my kids have different scientific interests, and this year I kind of let them go with those interests in choosing their curriculum. And then they just have different needs as far as levels of history and types of history curriculums and things like that they're working on. So one thing I had to kind of come to terms with as far as morning time goes is that it is going to take time. Like anytime I'm gathering the whole bunch of kids together and we're sitting down and working on this, like it's going to take time out of our homeschool day. Right now it takes us anywhere from 40 minutes to a little over an hour to get through our morning time because we have a few things that change. But that's just because everything in our morning basket this year is extremely valuable, and like it is just what our family needs this year. And also there are things that are enjoyable to us. Because of those reasons, this doesn't seem like something that I feel like we have to cut out or anything like that. Like on a busy day, that was the first thing that I would sometimes cut was morning time because, the kids needed to get in their independent subjects. Maybe we had plans later, plans in the afternoon or whatever, something else that I had to do that was pressing. And that was kind of like the first thing to go. Where now it is like the first thing that is going to stay. Like even on a school days off, like if we're not doing major school, like we're still probably going to do morning time or at least a piece of it. So one of the big lessons I've learned for morning time is that not every good thing needs to be included. It's easy to see what someone else is doing and see all the beautiful things that they're doing, but some of those things just do not interest our kids, do not really interest me that much. And while it may be beautiful to read this certain particular poetry book, like my kids aren't enjoying it, they're probably going to complain about it a little bit. I'm not enjoying it that much. Like I'm not a huge poetry person, and I feel like that's not a great thing to admit online. But that's how it is. And my kids are not huge fans of poetry. I mean, there are a few poems or poets here and there that they kind of like, but it's not something that I've just incorporated into our everyday. And I'm not going to force that anymore. Like there was a time where I tried to like force those things, force composer study. They're going to get a little touch of that stuff through different areas, different curriculums and things like that. But I'm not going to put something like that in our homeschool that's kind of, I don't want to say it's fluff, but it is for us because my kids aren't super interested in that. So now we are at the point where everything in our morning time is very valuable. Like everything is very intentional and there's a reason for it. And so it's a non-negotiable for me now. And my kids are learning from it and my kids are enjoying it. And now it's just like, this is what we do. This is how we start our day. And no, not all the attitudes are always great every morning. But for the most part, I think I can say that we really, truly love our morning time now. So I'd love to hear your experience also. Do you do morning time? Have you tried morning time? Is it something that just seems a little bit like over the top for your family? Just let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear other people's perspectives because I feel like sometimes we can paint a picture on social media or on YouTube that, you're doing all these things and, it's all wonderful, where in reality, sometimes it just doesn't pan out the way we want it to. Or, we change things because it's not working. And then, I felt like a little bit guilty sometimes because we were taking all these things out of our morning time that, for one, I paid for, and I hate that. I hate buying materials and not using them. But then also, these are supposed to be the best things out there, and they just weren't working for us. And are we slacker homeschoolers? Maybe, but this is what is working for us. And I feel like even just a little bit, like the little bit that we have, is working well and is really good. Okay, so I'm going to get into what we do use in our morning time. So the very first thing we do is read our Bible. We are on a 2-year Bible plan. My husband and the kids and I all read it or listen to it every day. Usually my husband listens to it on his way to work, and then the kids and I read it in our morning time, or on the weekend we try to sit down and read it or listen to it together. Sunday mornings on our way to church, we usually listen to it as a whole family. It's just a through the Bible in 2 years plan. So it's just 2 to 3 chapters each day. And, that takes anywhere from 5-10 minutes to like 15 minutes, just depending on how long the chapters are that day. Okay, the second thing we are doing is this new City Catechism. And we've started a catechism in the past, and it was just very long. It was like 200 and some questions and answers, and it was just overwhelming to start it, and it seemed so long. So this has, I believe, 52 questions and answers, and we are only on question number 14. But we started at the beginning of the school year. I think we did skip one. No, we skipped 3 questions because we did one about the 10 commandments that kind of listed all the commandments in it. And then the next 3 broke down the commandments into like a few commandments in each one. So we just skipped those. But this has been really good. I like this. The kids seem to like it. So after that, while we're doing our catechism memory work, we move into... we have some U.S. memory work. Now, all of the kids are doing various types of U.S. history this year. And I wanted them to do like some U.S. memory work just to hit on some important things that I wanted them to have memorized. So we started out with the 3 branches of government, and they just memorized like a little blurb about what each of those branches does. And then we memorized the preamble. And then we are currently working through the Bill of Rights, and they're memorizing like what the right is and what each amendment is, and then like a little summary of that. So I think we're on number 8. And then we move on to U.S. geography. Well, actually, my 10-year-old is still working through her U.S. geography, and I do it like I just have, my maps are not as colored as the kids are. I just have a map that we literally open up to and work on every day. I just point, and she names the states. If she doesn't know it, I name it for her. My older 2, after they finished U.S. geography, they went to physical features of the United States. So like mountain ranges, bodies of water, rivers, things like that. And they memorized those. And now they recently started the entire geography of North America. So they're working on all these little countries down here. So I'm not sure exactly where we'll go when they finish with that. We'll probably move them on to South America maybe. I'm not sure. I really wanted them to get U.S. geography in and then North America this year because we are studying American history. So that is what we do for that. And then we have a morning loop. So this is the only loop in our morning time. And it's just little things that we loop each day. We had a 4th book in here, but we finished it. So we are looping through the Ology, which is just like a short little chapter each day or every 3 days. And it's just, building on the theology of God's Word. And we are doing Answers for Teens, and these are a little bit longer. And then we're reading through Amy Carmichael. And I think this is the first missionary biography we started this year. But like I said, we were doing a fourth one. So we are only hitting this about once a week. Now that we got through Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, that was geared more for my younger daughter. But, it never hurts to hit on all that stuff for the older kids too. But now that we got through that one, we're almost through Answers for Teens. I might have said Answers for Kids. It's Answers for Teens, Volume 1. So, we're starting to move a little bit more quickly through this. And then the last thing we do is our read aloud. We just do usually one chapter a day in whatever read aloud we're doing. Usually I try to pick a read aloud that is, history, historical fiction, something that gears towards their history that they're working through. But we have not completed Narnia. And that's one thing that I am okay with being influenced to do. We have only we're doing Prince Caspian. And we actually started this twice on Audible or Hoopla. But we were listening to the audiobook, and I just could not get into the audiobook. But now that I'm reading it, I'm really enjoying it. We did that 2 different summers, I think, tried to get into the audiobook of this, and we just kind of let it fall to the wayside. So we are partway through Prince Caspian. And then also we finish our morning time. The kids watch World Watch News. And I'll leave a link to that down below. I'll try to link all these things in the description if you're interested in any of them. But because our morning time is geared solely toward what we need right now in this season, the memory work that we want to do, the read alouds that we're enjoying, the Bible plan that our family is going through, it's very purposeful. And, some days it's going to take longer. Some days we might have a couple of long chapters in the Bible. We might be reading our missionary biography that day and our read aloud. So, some days it can take about an hour. I'd say usually 45 minutes to an hour, but sometimes I look up at the clock and it's it's only been half an hour and here we are. So, but this year it just doesn't seem like something that's easy to let go. It seems like all of these things that we've incorporated into morning time this year are bringing value to our family. They're bringing value to each of the kids' education. They don't seem like fluff or extras. They seem like just, part of our education. A good reason to start every day with this stuff. I hope you can't hear my kids. They're being noisy upstairs. But let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear what's in your morning time. If you have morning time or, if you don't, share why you don't. That would be great to hear too, because I am considering maybe next year, letting my oldest go after a certain part of morning time or something, because she is going to be in 10th grade next year, and there's a possibility that she'll be going to vocational school in 11th and 12th grade. So we're not really sure. She's not really sure what she wants to do yet. But anyway, I hope that this encouraged you, or maybe just helped you to have a good perspective on morning time, maybe helped you to determine whether or not you want to do morning time in your homeschool. So please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.